Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole, 4th District of Oklahoma. This is another one of our weekly congressional chats. Been a pretty busy week up here in Congress. Let me talk a little bit about what happened on the floor and then particularly the appropriations process, which I'm most deeply involved in. This week we were moving things across the floor that sound mundane, but they're really not. We had a lot of legislation coming out of the Energy and Commerce Committee to actually protect things that we should take for granted. Things like refrigerators, washing machines, gas stoves. These are all areas where all of a sudden, in the name of climate change, the administration and the regulatory bodies that the president appoints people to are trying to raise the prices of everything. They want to make everything green, energy friendly. Nothing wrong with that. We're big proponents of renewable energy in Oklahoma. We're number 2 in the country in terms of wind power. When it makes sense, when it makes things cheaper or life better, then we're all for it. But these were situations where literally we had unelected bureaucrats passing rules that were going to make things that are commonplace more expensive and frankly make life harder for the American people. That's not what government's supposed to do. We're here to make life better, easier, safer. So while these things may sound trivial, they're not. When you need a gas stove, you need a gas stove. When you need a refrigerator, which we all do every day, or you want your washing machine to work, you need to let the technology we have, and the prices that are the lowest prevail. If we can make things better, that's always great, but we don't make things better by making them more expensive for the average American. So Congress is spending a lot of time, I would argue, thinking about the average person, and let's not make life worse for them, or let's not let bureaucrats make life worse for them. The appropriations, this was a very big week. Most of it good, we little stumble here at the end, but there are 12 major appropriations bills that constitute the discretionary budget of the United States. That's the things most people think of as government. Not Social Security, not Medicare, not Medicaid. Those things are government, but they're not run through the Appropriations Committee. These are things like funding our military, building infrastructure, making sure that agriculture has the programs it needs. These things are day-to-day approach bills. There are 12 of them. When I took over on the Appropriations Committee literally 3 months ago today, and today is July 11th, none of them had been passed out of committee. And I told people at the time, we're going to get all these bills out of committee by the August break so that Congress has time to consider them and act upon them. And if there's some either continuing resolution where we don't change things, let alone government shutdown, it won't be because our committee didn't do its job. Well, last night we got the last of the 12 bills through. So all 12 bills are out of committee. I don't want to be critical of my friends in the Senate, but they haven't gotten any bills out of committee. 4 of ours are across the floor, including the largest one, defense. That's over half the discretionary budget of the United States, which is about $1.6 trillion. So $800-900 billion of its defense, that's done. We've also got Homeland Security done because we want to secure our border. We've got veterans and military construction done because we want to take care of the people that protected us and that we have an obligation to because they put on the uniform of our country and stood between us and trouble any place around the world. So we've gotten quite a bit done. We had a little stumble today. What's called the legislative branch, which is the smallest of the appropriations bills, and it simply is the money Congress spends to operate the Congress of the United States. Failed by just a few votes. We had a few dissident Republicans. They don't have a very good reason. Some of them voted against the bill because they didn't get a personal pay raise. Others because while it's the tiniest bill of all, they had some little complaint. We had 3 Democrats that actually voted for it, but most Democrats are not going to vote for anything Republicans are pushing until we come to a negotiated agreement with the Senate later this year, hopefully. But again, 4 major bills across the floor, all 12 out of committee. That's the job of the appropriations. Once it's out of committee, it's really up to the Republican conference and our leadership to try and get them through. And as I said, 4 of the 5 they have. The other one, if we have to tweak or do something to, we'll come back and look at again. But again, we've made very substantial progress, and frankly, I've kept the commitments that I made. That is, we got all the bills done. They're all, by the way, less expensive than their Senate versions. They all are within the law. We passed them to go to the Fiscal Responsibility Act a number of months ago. That set a lower limit. We live within that limit. There's certainly areas, like particularly for the military, I'd like to do more than we did, but we're going to live within the law. And the Senate's busy right now passing bills that are above the very limits that they agreed to only 6 or 7 months ago. That's because we're dealing with a Democratic Senate. Quite frankly, I'm sure a Republican Senate would do it differently, but deal with what you got. And hopefully later this year, we're going to continue to move these appropriations bills. My guess is we'll get to September. We'll pass a continuing resolution that is hold things where they're at, not have a government shutdown. And then we'll let the American people decide who they want the next president to be and what they want the House and the Senate to look like. And then probably that president will decide, do I want to get all these issues settled before I take office? So I'm telling the people on my team, get it done, which is what I would recommend, or I want these issues delayed and kicked into the next year. We did that to President Trump in 2017. I think it was a mistake. It was not fair to him. He shouldn't have to worry about Congress having got it done. This Congress should do its business during its time. And this administration should do its business during this time frame. They shouldn't push it off on a new administration and a brand new Congress coming in. There'll be a lot of new members in that Congress. They shouldn't have to worry about the business of the last Congress not being done. They're just showing up, they're just learning their way around, they're getting their offices. They don't need to be faced with an immediate government shutdown and a failure to extend or get our business done and fund the government through the end of the fiscal year, which is on September 30th, would be exactly that. So we're working hard. I couldn't be prouder of my committee. Couldn't be prouder of my friend Stephanie Bice, who's also on that committee with me and has been extraordinarily helpful, has a great and brilliant future in front of her. We're doing the things we promised we would do. So again, very pleased with the week. Now Congress, again, we got to do a little bit better. But I want to make this point. I actually have a larger majority in my committee than the Republican leadership has to work with on the floor of the House. We literally have to have almost every Republican vote on almost every bill. So when 5 or 6 people get their nose out of joint for some little reason, as happened today, then I think we lost 10 Republicans, all of whom had different complaints, pretty petty, but they decided their little thing was more important. That delays the business of the country. And so I regret that. Again, I know the issues were important to them, but if we have roughly 220 Republicans, if 210 of them can agree to something, seems to me the other 10 might be able to figure out that, hey, we may not get everything we want, but we can work with the 210 who actually voted for the bill. I regret that did not happen today, but it has happened 4 other times. When we got defense done, which is a huge bill. Again, Homeland Security, very important to the American people. Looking after our veterans, very important to the American people. And so we're making some progress, but we need to do a little bit better. With that, I'll look forward to chatting with you. I don't know if I'll chat with you next week. Congress at the end of this week will take some time off simply because it's the Republican convention next week. And I intend to be at the Republican convention in Milwaukee, where we will most assuredly nominate Donald Trump to be our standard bearer in the fall election. and he will let us know who the vice presidential candidate he wants in the next few days. By the way, the Democrats will figure out what they want to do, and they seem to be having a problem right now, but that's up to them. That's not our problem. We know who our candidate's going to be, and we know how we'll proceed from there. With that, it's going to be a pretty exciting year and our next few months, and I look forward to talking to you again. Meantime, good luck, God bless, and hope things are well for you and your family.